I am the underlying field of all. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the totality. This is the statement that can be made in unity consciousness alone. It's the highest state of enlightenment, unity. This is the place where yoga was founded 5,000 years ago. We're here at the foothills of the Himalayas, on the banks of the Ganges River, and this is the place where the vibration of this knowledge is so strong. I like people to have an opportunity to come away with me once a year for 10 days to really immerse themselves in this knowledge, where they have an opportunity to get away from the ever-repeating known of their lives, where they have an opportunity to expand their horizons, expand their knowledge. Consciousness and knowledge go hand in hand. There are two styles of gaining knowledge. One is inferior to the other. The objective means of gaining knowledge is inferior to the subjective means of gaining knowledge. The subjective means of gaining knowledge. What's the subjective means of gaining knowledge? Richo akshare parame vyoman. All knowledge is structured in the consciousness field. Knowledge actually is embedded inside of the consciousness field itself. As you become more and more familiar with the consciousness field, knowledge will zoom forth into your awareness. So favoring unboundedness will reveal to you that your true deep inner self is the witness of a body. It's the witness of actions. It's a witness of the relative world. It is not of the world. It's the silent witness of all of that, and it's the fountainhead. It's good for people to have a chance to interact with the Indian culture. And so I take them around to meet all of my friends. For example, the preeminent master of all the masters, the king of the yogis, who is here and who is the master of the tradition from which my knowledge came. We get to meet that person. We get to meet lots of other people around who have had things to do with the culturing and maintenance of this knowledge going back thousands of years. While we're here on retreat in Rishikesh, India, we get to have the delightful experience of visiting various places of great interest. There are certain sites in India that are considered sacred by Indians because for thousands of years these have been places of pilgrimage where people can go, they can gain peace, they can gain knowledge. There they can meet great masters. Many of those masters are friends of mine, and in the last 10 days we've been going around taking our group of people to meet some of the greatest masters in India. The Swami Kailashanam Brahmachari, who is the supreme authority of the Vedic worldview, and the Rajguru of India, meaning to whomever is the head of state, that's the guru of the head of state. And so we meet with him. We're able to move around in those circles. We go to places that are the places where I was trained, so people get to have some historic concept of the old ashram there in the forest in India on the banks of the Ganges. It's a wonderful experience because it gives people a context for their practice. You know, as you practice a thing and it starts to produce an effect on you, it's natural that you become curious about an historic perspective of where it all came from. This isn't something that was invented at a local university in America 10 years ago and which is, you know, on trial. We know everything there is to know about this technique and all of its effects. And the reason we know that is because of the historic contexts that we are able to visit and explore while we're here. You know, I am what is called in India, quotes unquote, a householder. By a householder, it means somebody who lives an everyday life. I'm married, I have children, I have possessions and things like that. I'm not a monk. So often in India, the great saints and masters of this tradition are monastic people. I'm not one of those. However, I have the great honor to say that I was inducted into the tradition at the highest level. The name I'm given in India is Maharishi, which means a great seer, Vyasanand, which means someone who sequences knowledge, and Saraswati. Saraswati is the name of the order of the tradition from which I come. Almost everyone in this tradition today is a monk. In fact, I think everyone except me is a monk. The reason why I'm in this tradition now is because His Holiness Swami Kailashanam Brahmachari, the Mahamandaleshwar, that is to say the supreme authority of the Vedic worldview, the master of the tradition, inducted me into the tradition and gave me that great honor. And when I said to him, you know, Swami, I'm a householder. I'm not a monk like you or any of the others. He said, it hasn't always been so that only monks could hold this position. 5,000 years ago, there was a great saint, Vyasa, who has the same name as me, who was also a householder. And in fact, prior to Vyasa, all of the great masters of this teaching were householders. And so the monastic approach to being a holder and custodian of this knowledge is a relatively recent thing. And he feels as though it's high time that some householders begin the process of being honored as great teachers and members of the tradition. And since he's the supreme authority, who am I to argue? And so in India, I go by that spiritual name, and I have the honor of holding that position. And I hope that it won't be very long before other householders are also able to be named as masters of this ancient tradition. You know, I would really love, my vision at my age, I'm in my 7th decade, would be to have the next generation, the youth, really see the potential and promise of this, not to feel discouraged or disenchanted by the world in which they live, where people use so little of their potential. You read the newspapers today, it can be so discouraging and even frightening. The idea that the ever-repeating known is just going to gobble up life. And I would love for the next generation to know that there is a simple, natural, innocent technique that can be practiced day by day in any lifestyle. Anyone can insert it into any lifestyle that will revolutionize their life, and they can become masters of their own inner potentials, and they can make the greatest possible contribution to the group effort of civilization.